ANY D.A.W by Ichiko Hashimoto. So together.
I see what you're doing. I came up from the rest, step out, it's eyes and ruin. Hey, going down. I'ma make it do.
Hey, welcome. JPEGMAFIA. You are here, you know who he is. I looked for some samples on YouTube. My approach to this is I take it as a challenge, and that makes it so much more fun. I have to prove to myself that I can make a song that I like with these noises. Before anything, I recommend that you get some drum sounds, and you know where we are right now, samplefocus.com. Use your free credits and download some samples. More on this later. I just wanted to let you know all of the samples that I'm going to use for my drums are from samplefocus.com. The surprise here is that I already made this song. The reason why is making something on the spot is not always very efficient. I liked what I did here. I'm going to break it down piece by piece, sound by sound, and if I miss anything or you have any doubts, if you ask me a question, I'm probably going to answer to you. And by the way, I'm going to be previewing all of the sounds without the processing that I did first. This is not very well mixed. I did this in like 3 hours. It doesn't sound super professional. I'm going to talk about it, but so this is the main sample. The sample is actually from this song ANY by Ichiko Hashimoto. I don't know what ANY means. This song is fire. But the part that I used for the song is actually like in the first 20 seconds. I used an instrument rack and I just grabbed the song, the sample. Imagine you are like looking for a spot here. It's like, oh, I like this section. Then you can throw it into a sampler and it's going to start wherever you have this cut. But yeah, I didn't do that because I actually wanted to use the slice mode and see what I could come up with. These are the two slices that I used. I moved the transposition 9 semitones up. That's it. I added this EQ. And on top of that, this is another thing that I've been doing a lot lately, which is using return channels. In this case, I have this one with reverb, not very long, more EQ. This is some delay on ping pong mode with the dry wet to 100%, and you adjust the time and you get this kind of delay that it makes it feel like it's stereo. You're gonna hear now. And some erosion. If you know me, you know I love erosion, and it sounds like this. It's very subtle, but along with the other one. The next thing I did was this drum rack, and I'm going to play very quickly the sounds that I got from Sample Focus. And to this drum rack, I just added this drum bass to the snare that I use. This, I made it very short, this snare, and I added this flanger. So it feels like different. There is a lot going on here. It's not the best pattern in the world, and you can hear I'm using like 3 different kicks. That wasn't the idea. It came out kind of by accident when I moved one of them, so I ended up using like 3 different ones. We already have drums and sample. This thing that I sampled, I re-sampled. So basically I just made an audio channel, selected this or sample channel as the input, but it sounds different. What I did is warp with texture mode. So I basically moved this grain size from the texture while I was recording. Not as drastic as this. I don't remember exactly what movement I did. It was very simple. So that's now happening on top of the other sample as like a layer. The stereo delay that I told you before, ping pong, dry wet. You see the difference? It's like it goes from here to here. Some erosion, obviously, distortion with overdrive, and apparently some roar. I don't remember adding roar. So together. And with the drums. I'm going to save the bass for last, and we are going to cover this other sample. Okay, it's basically this. It's actually a video from YouTube. I think it was like a short. I think I looked for machine noise, how to open the Volvo cylinder head plug. So in case you want to know how to open that, you can check this video. I just used these sounds. They were originally like this. These are cool. I didn't use this though. I didn't get there. What I did with at least the ones that I used was lower the pitch to 5 semitones. I think with this, I did warp. Press this button, which duplicates the time or divides the time. I made this by copying and pasting here. Boom, fade out. Then I like this one. These are two different ones. That's it. These are the same ones repeating all the time. And with the drums, I added my classic lazy compression, erosion, you already know, an LFO that is moving the frequency from the erosion very slightly, Redux, EQ, and Autopan. So let's hear everything together so far. For the 808, I used one of my favorites from Ableton called 808 Drifter. And this part is actually only happening here. It doesn't repeat ever again. So yeah, this bass sounds kind of weird, but then overdrive, EQ. We hide it a little bit behind, so we let all of this high and mid space for vocals and the synths, the samples. We can hear everything on this part. The last two sounds, one of them is from another YouTube video called You Said Machine Loya Make 4 Shuttle CSM 4 Looms for Sale 2003 Make Good Running Condition. I don't know what any of that means. This is used very briefly to transition from one part of the song to another, and that's why this kind of thing works here along with this. And this is again a resample. I'm gonna talk about it in a second, but yeah. Wait. So before going to the second part, let's break down this intro. It's actually just a sample in some other slices to make it seem like an interesting intro. It doesn't sound very interesting at all. But what I did add was called Cicada on 3, making its distinctive sound. Sounds awful though. This is the worst possible recording. I added some flanger, EQ. Flanger is at 100% wet, lot of feedback, no movement here, amount at 0%, and time at 20 milliseconds. So like I said, for the sample, I just selected 4 random slices and then started to build this tat. So we established that before it happens. It probably has like a super technical name. I don't know what it is. It's like getting to know the sounds seconds before you actually know them. It's like, hey, I'm letting you know this is about to happen. Let's break down this second part. Let's start again from the sample. It's like an octave down. So for that, what I did was just duplicate the entire instrument rack channel, and I just changed the pitch here. So as you can tell, here is not warped, so we get the tempo change. Like we want half the tempo now, so that's what's happening. It's the same two slices, but I changed the order. This one was at the beginning, so now it's but slower. EQ. For some reason, I did like this thing here with the EQ because I like specifically this frequency. And by itself, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but when you bring all of the elements together, because this is an octave lower, when you play with the bass, it gets like varied. That sounds awful. And then a vibrato, apparently. You can notice it if I increase the amount. And then I am sending also to the reverb channel. This is what I resampled for this piece that came before that we heard. So I'm doing again the same as before, which is establish that this is about to change. This is an octave lower now. The drums are basically double the speed. And I'm not using like 15 different kicks. In this one, I'm just using one and one snare. I ended up adding another snare separately. To this new snare, I use the white delay thing, erosion. You already know at this point, I'm using the same things all over. Erosion, drum bass, EQ. This is how the snare sounds. Without. With. Then the bass. For the pattern, I just made the whole pattern 2 notes. I didn't go crazy with this. We got the sample, the Volvo sample. The only change is, remember this long part that we had here? That goes with the snare. Well, I did the same, but changing it so it works with this new snare placement, which is half. After that, I started to add some breakbeat samples. And I'm using 3 for this part, okay? I don't know if that's something normal. This is the first one. So as you can tell, it's panned all the way to my left. EQ, drum bass. Why is it panned all the way to the left? Because the next loop that I use is this one and it's panned to the right. EQ, drum bass. And then I got the last one. So yeah, some drum bass. The 3 together. This is in the middle, so we got like this whole spectrum covered. This with the Volvo, how to open the Volvo cylinder sound. So let's hear all together. Here, what is going on is I'm going to make another change. I like a lot this part that is coming. I'm going to break down very quickly this rising moment is the cicada on the tree. I got the first bass only playing here, so we get this emphasis on and this, while this is growing, there is no bass. How to open the Volvo cylinder is playing during this riser thing. The sample is the same. Just before the rising starts, I just copied one of these and pasted it. What is happening here is, well, first off, we have the new snare. If you remember, I added the snare on the second part. So now we have the snare here too, right? So without the snare, with the snare, it's more aggressive now. And we have the whole breakbeat stuff happening. We have the Volvo is carrying this. So then the bass gets this pattern, also 2 notes, is the G that we were working with before, but octave up, octave down. Which is very weird by itself, but with everything else, instead of letting this keep going, what I did is change very quickly the time again from the drums, so we get the dancey part. These are 3 kick drums. And as you can tell, when this snare hits, everything else is quiet. So for that, I just automated the mute button. So that's basically it. If you like the video and wanna leave a comment and tell us what you think about it, we appreciate that a lot. On samplefocus.com, that's where I got all of the drum sounds that you are listening to, as well as a couple of these breakbeats, and these 2 are from Sample Focus. So you get 3 credits every week to download any 3 samples that you want. But if you upload your own samples, you get 4 credits for each sample that gets approved. So you can find some really interesting things that you can't find anywhere else.
Okay,